Welcome to the legal and financial panel. This is the second last panel of the day, and my name's Phil. I work for Open Source Arts. We're based down in Kirkstall, and we're helping by hosting these panel discussions today. And
there we are. Hello, I'm Myra. I also work at Open Source Arts. Welcome, everyone. Welcome.
And we've had a great day of panels. We've had some really great questions. So I think the invitation from us is, while you're listening to everything which the panelists have to say, think up some really difficult, challenging questions for them, because they're really good at answering really difficult, challenging questions. And that gets us more quality out of the panel. So without any hanging around, I'm going to hand over and just invite you all to tell us what your name is and who you're here representing. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia Buckley and I am representing First Intuition and I am a business development manager.
I'm Lucy. I work with Olivia at First Intuition and I've been training chartered accountants and tax advisors for 20 years. So hopefully lots that I can share with you.
Hi, my name's Katie Rankin. I'm the Emerging Talent and Careers Manager at Jet2.com and Jet2 Holidays.
Hi, I'm Jo. I work for HSBC and I am the Engagement and Programme Lead for Early Careers. And I started as an apprentice 30 years ago. So really passionate about all things apprenticeships.
Hello, I'm Natalie from Leeds City College, part of Luminate Education Group. I'm the Business Development Team Leader, so look after apprenticeships for Leeds City College.
Hello, I'm Jill Wright and I'm one of the directors at Kirk Newsholme. We're accountants and tax advisors based in North Leeds, team of about 60 people. We usually train, probably at any point in time, we've got about 20 trainees doing their accountancy and tax exams, mainly studying with First Intuition over here. So I'm probably the lead for any recruitment activities that we are doing at the moment.
Lovely, thank you. And why do you have so many apprentices in your organisations? What benefits do they bring and what do you see from what they bring to you?
Okay, so it's really lovely to get a new mix of apprentices every year. Last year was a record for us. We took on 9 apprentices. We've not done that before. We're probably looking for 5 or 6 this year. So I do remember very much during the difficult times of 2008, 2009, we didn't actually recruit then. And actually, further down the line, it gave us problems because we were finding that for people who'd been with us a couple of years, they then didn't develop as well because they didn't have new trainees to develop alongside their own skills. So even in more difficult times, we think it's important for us to bring in new trainees. And actually those new trainees sort of push the other trainees as they go along. So it's great because they come along with new skills. Some of the skills that I've had, I guess new trainees don't have on day one, but they bring in new skills that I don't have. So it's really good to get a real mix of people. We have 20 trainees at any point in time. Probably the full qualification takes about 5 years. So roughly 4 trainees every year, say for 5 years, is why we've got 20 at any point in time.
I was going to say, obviously, I'm not an employer, more from a training provider perspective, but you do find that when you work with employers, that they do get people in from like entry level to train up for the skills gap for the business. And you find that they'll train them up and they'll stay with the company for a decent amount of time. So that is a way that obviously you find with employers keeping apprentices. But obviously there's also the full-time members of staff as well that you can up-train onto an apprenticeship. So there's just a lot of different benefits of an apprenticeship. You don't have to come at entry level. You could do an apprenticeship as a senior manager. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We actually hiring quite large numbers at HSBC, so circa 400 a year onto our apprenticeship and degree apprenticeship programs. And our CEO actually is really, really passionate about it, as he started at 16 in the bank. He hasn't done too badly. So we're really passionate about giving opportunities to young people, career changers, career returners, especially from those who don't have those opportunities or have barriers in the way. And it really helps us bring in new perspectives, new ideas. the younger generation, very tech savvy and social media savvy, which is the skills we're looking for. And we also know that the younger generation and apprenticeships are highly committed and highly driven. So that's exactly what we want to be one of the world's biggest banks.
I think when we started at Jet2, we had a finance graduate scheme for people coming out of university, and we've now transitioned that to make sure that there are points to entry at any stage that you want to join the organisation. You can start on our level 3 within finance, level 4 or level 7, and develop both the knowledge and the skills to do that role well, with a range of different routes to go down on each of those, whether you're looking at the SEMA or ACCA route. But I think doing it through an apprenticeship gives you that real fantastic opportunity to earn while you learn and gain those qualifications at the same time.
I'll try and add something different. From a training provider's perspective, having trained chartered accountants for 20 years, 5 years ago, a level 7 apprenticeship became available that you could become a chartered accountant by doing all of that training as an apprenticeship. And that's been a huge shift that we've seen in the world of training. We train from level 2, 3, 4 and 7 now. I trained as a chartered accountant over 20 years ago. I had to go to university. There wasn't an option. Now it's much more available to people to get into that career straight away from school and work their way up through those levels. Of the over 500 students that we've got training with us at the moment, over 80% of them are studying via an apprenticeship, which again is a huge shift from when I started training many years ago, where it wasn't available at all. So just those opportunities that are available, firms that are training apprentices feedback to us that the learners are coming out much more, are developing those different skills quicker. They're doing everything in one. I did 3 years of training and then I learned how to do my job. Now it's very much about doing all of that in one go, and you get into that end point much more efficiently, and you're coming out with those different skills. So just seeing that huge shift and how beneficial it is to both the individual and the employers that we work with has just been a huge change, but all very, very positive.
No, I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Well, you can kick us off and tell us why do you think that an apprenticeship is a good way to enter the industry? And that's actually the question that you've really answered there. So please add your bit to that and then pass the mic along. So why do you think an apprenticeship is a good way to enter the industry?
So, yeah, just to kind of follow up on what Lucy had said, because she put it perfectly there, and Katie. So every apprenticeship is broken down into 3 components, which is knowledge, skills and behaviours. And the knowledge will be picked up by the technical qualification, but the skills and behaviours, that's what you build as what you do in your working day, how you actually perform well in the role. And I remember a few years ago in accountancy, somebody said to me, it's one thing to work in audit, but it's another thing to be a successful auditor. So it's one thing to be really, really smart with exams, but it's actually something completely different to perform well in your day-to-day role. I think the apprenticeship offers you the opportunity to pick up the technical qualification, but also be sure that you are performing well in your day-to-day job. So that would be my reason that the apprenticeship is so good.
I think for me, it's that earn as you learn, develop the skills and the experience, so you could come out with it with a master's degree level qualification, but a number of years experience behind you where you've earned that money and you've worked your way up in your career already and have so much experience to draw on that set you up for your career. And I think as well, doing it through an apprenticeship, it often opens up lots of other opportunities whilst you're learning. For example, in our apprenticeship programs, you go through a number of colleague development courses. You go on a number of days to understand the wider business organisation, because it's not just you are in this little silo of finance. There's so much more to the business operation for the employer that you work with, and understanding that and helping that to make sure that you're making the right decisions, that you know what impact the work that you does has on that organisation is really vital and sets you up for such a fantastic career. Also understanding what other opportunities there are out there as well. So I think apprenticeships are such a good way in that will set you up for that career, whether that be, as you were saying, for new starters joining the world of work, or reskilling, upskilling there's opportunities for everyone, or just developing within the role. So we have lots of existing colleagues that are developing through apprenticeships as well, be that through the technical route, things like going up to the level 7, or through the management skills route as well.
Yeah, I'll just add very, very slightly. The reason I dropped out of uni and did an apprenticeship really is I've got a learning difficulty, and uni wasn't really set up for me at the time. They're much better now, just putting it out there. But I struggled to learn that theory and to understand it because I couldn't see it. I couldn't experience it. So I became an apprentice, which was really great for me. It was really hands-on. An apprenticeship is quite unique to you. You go at your own pace, different styles of learning, lots and lots of support as well. So I think that's what's great about an apprenticeship is it's tailored to you and the opportunities are endless. Don't think you've got to be a graduate to be successful. I still sit here today as a senior manager and I'm still not a graduate, but I've done 9 apprenticeship programs. So I think it's a great opportunity.
It's really hard to follow on from that. But I think for me, apprenticeships are open for all. There's a few people that have come to me recently that have been homeschooled and haven't got GCSEs. And you really can do an apprenticeship if you don't have GCSEs, whilst you would need to study alongside with functional skills, English and maths. You can come in there from an entry-level perspective. Obviously, a great alternative to uni. Not everyone is academic. Not everyone learns best by tests and exams. And apprenticeships really is that alternative route that still gets you where you want to be. It might take slightly longer, but you're in the world of work, earning and learning. Obviously, I think degrees now are like £30,000-40,000. You wouldn't get that at all doing an apprenticeship because it's funded by the government and employers. So from that point of view, you're never going to be in debt, which is a massive plus for apprenticeships. And like I say, most people might learn best by hands-on, like you said, doing the job, learning as you go along. And that's the beauty of an apprenticeship. You can still get that qualification and the degree apprenticeships now. And you can go anywhere from like level 2 to post-degree, postgraduate. So great opportunities.
Gosh, what can I add to that? I think for me, it's the contrast really between the way I trained. So I did a standard, go off to university, do an accountancy degree, and then got a training contract to do my chartered exams with one of the big firms at the time. And I'd pretty much say when I qualified, I was going to say all I could do was a set of accounts. I don't really think I could even do that, to be fair. I think I could pass accountancy exams. I think that's what I could do. And then I stumbled around for a few years, gradually trying to improve all my other skills in no particular sort of structured fashion. Probably did okay at the end of that, but the apprenticeship just offers you a structure to that. So I'm absolutely amazed at what our trainees come along, say, 6 months after leaving school, and they can be face-to-face with big clients. And the skills that they already have at that stage are just phenomenal compared to what I had at that stage. And the skills that they come out when they're fully qualified, they're way ahead of where I would have been when I first qualified. They've got no debt either. I mean, I didn't because it was so long ago that you didn't have debt at that time. But it's an amazing course. I think it's quite tough, and the world is tougher than it was when I trained. But I just think it's great. I think, the fact that from day one, people are actively learning about the qualification that they're doing. They're putting it into practice. I completely agree with what you're saying. It's different people's learning styles. And the fact that you're practicing what you're learning about is just amazing. Helps so many people learn who learn in different ways.
I just want to spotlight your comment where you said you'd done 9 apprenticeship programs. Would you just tell us about your journey a little bit, please? Because I think she said it very quietly, but I think if anybody heard it, then I'd like you to tell us what your journey was.
A very, very long one. I'm quite old. So I left uni, much to the despair of my mother. Don't think she ever forgave me. I actually went full-time in my retail job and did 2 retail apprenticeships up to management, and very cheekily spoke to my trainer, working at a training provider, going, I want to do your job. So did my level 4 in training and development. Then I went into HR and did my HR ones. Ran a children's home for a couple of years. So did my teaching apprenticeships and my social worky apprenticeships. And I've done my management level one since, I think. So now I am at HSBC running apprenticeships. I did it. Thanks, Mum.
It's great to hear because actually, it can follow you and support your learning and your progression through your entire career, actually, because we have an employee who has already done one apprenticeship and now they're doing a second apprenticeship with us because they want to change their focus, you know? And it's good to hear that, actually. So you can start at the level that's appropriate for you and then progress through in a way that is helpful. Yeah. Okay. Congrats. Yeah, congratulations. Does anybody have any questions for the panelists, please? Who would like to ask the first one? Yeah.
What are you looking for when you're looking? Because obviously you'll have set criteria for apprentices to come and join you. What are you looking for in an apprentice to come and join your businesses?
Very different to what you perhaps would think. So we now do what we call strength-based rather than competency-based interviews. So instead of having to give an example of when, we look for people's natural strengths, which is what they enjoy and what they are good at. But in the whole, we're looking for those diamonds in the rough, if you like, those with that potential, with the drive, with the ambition, who really want to learn and go on. We need to see that passion through the research they've done into the company. Perhaps they've done work experience or come to an event like today that they talk about, but really show that passion. That's what we're looking for. We don't care what grades you've got. We don't care if you did business or whether you did art. I think the weirdest graduate actually has got a degree in spiders. So it's about having that desire, commitment, and really willingness to learn.
Who'd like to ask the next question? Yeah. Just do a bit of navigation here.
Hi, we've heard some great examples, I think, from HSBC about your chief exec and how you've gone through your apprenticeships yourself. And we heard in the last session around how some businesses can't guarantee once you've done the apprentice to take it on. Can you just take us through what is the pathway? You know, once you've done an apprentice, what's it like then going into the company would be good. Thank you.
At HSBC, you're on a permanent contract. And then if you want to go up your levels in different apprenticeships, you can. So my boss is just on his master's apprenticeship and I'm just about to do mine.
Our apprentices do start on a fixed term contract. That's to really push them to succeed. We want them to be performing well. We want them to pass that apprenticeship and we really push them towards those distinction grades and want to support them to do well. But the intention is it's all based on our people plan, our skills that we need in the future. So I think if we have people that pass their apprenticeship and are performing well in the role, then the idea is there's a role there for them at the end of it. And so far, I always say touch wood, every single apprentice has passed, has gone into a permanent role and is still with us today.
It's really hard recruiting, so I don't want to have to do it too often, really. So everybody that we recruit, I want them to stay forever. That's probably quite unrealistic. But the aim is when we offer somebody a job, we offer them a job, and that's a long-term job. If it doesn't work out because they're not suited to us or we're not suited to them down the line, then yes, that may come to an end, but it doesn't ever come to an end just because the apprenticeships come to an end. It would be nothing to do with that. Because we get people when they've done an apprenticeship, they want to go on and do leadership and management training and things like that. So, the apprenticeship just gives a structure to some of their development, really. It doesn't, it doesn't mean they're only joining us for a fixed amount of time. Because as I say, we invest a lot in them. We want them to stay. And our people, trainees, maybe a year above, 2 years above, 3 years above them, spend a lot of time with those new trainees. So that investment means that we want them to stay.
Yeah, I love that comment that you made about having learners in the organisation because it helps other people develop as well. It's so important to have said that. Thank you. Who else has a question, please? Hi.
Hi, you've mentioned about the positives of apprenticeship. What are the negatives? And I'm actually expecting silence, but
I think it adds another layer of work. They have to do a file. They have to record evidence of the work that they're doing. And sometimes when they've come straight from school, where they're very much handheld, or straight from college, they're then doing a working day. They're doing a professional qualification, and they've got a training file to complete for their apprenticeship as well. So I think some of them find that a little bit, not too much hard work, but a lot to get their head around, I think. The other downside is as a firm, we invest a bit more time in those people. But actually, I think although that's an extra cost because we have to have people in place to do that, it's a good thing. And obviously, you know, the fact that we can see people going out to clients after 6 months on their own is just phenomenal. I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have gone out to client after 6 months working at Ernst & Young when I trained. So yeah, there's a little bit more involved for the trainee, but it's all about finding the right trainees. And if you've got the right trainee, they absolutely sail through it. They just need to be organised. I think probably one of the skills they need to have is just keep on top of things like their apprenticeship file. You know, don't leave it for 2 months and not do anything because it's a big task to do then. So
yeah, I was just going to add to that. I would say, wouldn't say a negative, but something that we always have to discuss with employers is the need for training. Whilst we do that at the college side of things from day release or block release, or we come out to the workplace depending on cohort sizes, they've still got that accountability to do the training in the workplace as well. And you might find some employers might not give that as much. So I'd say that would be slightly a downside. But that's something that we really instill from the onset before we take on an apprentice, the commitment. Because yes, there's a commitment from the apprentice, but there is also the commitment from the employer. And it's that two-way street, really. You can't do an apprenticeship without an employer and a training provider, so you all collectively have to work together. And like you were mentioning about the off-the-job training, they do have to complete like logbooks, whether that be electronic or paper version, but they have to do 6 hours a week of training towards their apprenticeship. So it is keeping on top of that because you don't want to leave it 2 months because you can't remember what you did 2 months ago, let alone last week. So yeah, I'd say that would be just something to be aware of.
I'm going to speak to the young people in the room who perhaps don't consider an apprenticeship because they want to go to uni for a good time. I get asked this all the time, but what's the social life like? I can only speak for where I've worked. We still have a social life. We are still human beings. We still like to go out and have fun. The benefit is we've got money in our pockets to spend to have a good time. And also our graduates and apprenticeships, they do go and arrange football nights, cocktail making nights, all sorts of weird and wonderful things, bowling, etc. So there really is a community of young people to support. Because I know the young people wanted to ask that, but were too scared. Yeah.
I think for me, not necessarily a negative, but I suppose for apprenticeships, they are more specific, tailored to the particular career or role you want to go into. Apologies, going hoarse there. And I think not necessarily negative, but something to consider is really do your research and make sure that it's a career you want to get into. So there's nothing worse than, I think, especially when you're perhaps younger and you're not quite sure what you want to do with your life, I think take that opportunity to read, to speak to people, to reach out to people, connect with people on LinkedIn and find out what it is to get into that role or that career opportunity, what that can bring for you, because you don't want to get stuck into an apprenticeship and realize it's not for you. So I think take that time to do your research, to ask the questions. And being here today and being at the panel today, I think is fantastic that you've taken that step to come along and find out more, but use all these fantastic individuals that we've got on all the stands and the individuals we've got today to ask those questions, find out more and make sure it's right for you.
Sorry. I was just going to add one more thing, and it's not probably a negative about doing an apprenticeship, but I think we've had a bit of a battle probably in the last 4 or 5 years in the communication around the sort of professional apprenticeships. So this being about finance and legal apprenticeships, whether there was an element of stigma associated with it. But I just think that communication has probably taken longer to get out than it should have done. And that's part of what we're all here to do today, to just demonstrate that it is absolutely that viable route into getting to where you want to go to, and you don't have to go to university. And again, without speaking out of turn, I know a lot of schools and colleges will be assessed, I guess, on progression and into university, but, don't feel that that is the only option. And this is what we're here to share. You can get to that same point just the same and potentially earlier with the skills along the way by taking that apprenticeship route. So I think the communication has been a bit of a stumbling block.
Thanks. And I just wanted to also track back to something that Katie might have said previously in a previous conversation, that sometimes employers will let you visit and actually see if it's the right employer for you to do your apprenticeship with, because it can feel very different whenever you're in there than whenever you go for an interview. So I think you said just get in touch with people and see if they might have an opportunity for you to come to an open day or do a week's work experience. And I know certainly in the construction panel earlier on, they said, if you want to come and do a week on site, for example, then you can come and see if it's the right company for you, because every company is unique. So I thought that was a good piece of advice just to speak in again. Go for it, yeah.
I'm just going to do a little plug if I can, if that's all right. Yeah. You should all be on half term next week. So if you're free Monday and Tuesday, we have a free accountancy academy running for 2 days, 10 till 4, Monday and Tuesday in the centre of Leeds. Totally free. Come and find out if the world of finance and business is for you. So if you want more information about that, come and see us on 24. Is that where we are? B24 downstairs.
Great.
Yes, a shameless plug here as well, but to really help you, our work experience is open for year 9 through to year 13 students, and it really gives you, and it's hybrid, bit of virtual, bit of physical, give you a real insight into HSBC, because we are more than just a bank. There are just endless opportunities, but also we do insider days. And we invite you into the offices to get to know each other, but also we can arrange mentors with you from people in the business, pair you up with apprentices, graduates, whichever route you go down, to really help support you to find out what it is really like. Because it's not always as it seems. So speak to as many people as possible to find out what it's really like.
Just to add to that, all the employers we work with as well, we always kind of suggest a trial period or like work experience, just to kind of understand if that's the right fit for you. Because with apprenticeships, there is a commitment. Generally, it's a minimum of 12 months, can be longer. Obviously, a lot of the higher level apprenticeships in finance, the chartered manager is a lot longer. And it's got to be a right fit for both parties, the employer and the apprentice. So yeah, we always recommend doing a trial just to make sure it's a good option for you.
Gosh, we're spending the evening doing plugs, aren't we here? So I'm going to put another plug in. So Wednesday, the 22nd of February, we're having an insight evening at Kirk Newsholme. And as amazing as it is to sit and chat to you and have all these lovely people here, the people that you want to talk to ideally are trainees who've been sat in your shoes, probably a year ago or 4 years ago or whatever, and just talk to them. So we have an evening pizza and all of that, but an opportunity to meet amazing trainers like First Intuition, meet our existing trainees and meet the people who've just qualified as chartered or certified accountants, and get a chance to ask some of them the questions, because they're the ones who'll tell you what it's really like.
That's perfect timing, because our next panel is actually a panel of apprentices themselves. So you come back and you can hear it from the horse's mouth.
Thank you. My question is, we've all heard about the green agenda and how that's driving us forward. I just wondered if, I'm conscious of time, but if a few of you could just share in terms of how the green agenda is shaping the sector and taking it forward, with a particular focus on, how is that shaping your views in terms of apprentices and apprenticeship skills going forward?
I'm really passionate about this, but as Lumina Education Group, it's on our agenda to be carbon neutral by 2035, which is massive considering we're like the third biggest training provider in the country. But as an apprenticeship kind of provider, we do a lot of things online at the moment. So e-portfolios instead of the paper versions. And there used to be a lot of paperwork in apprenticeships, but now that's all online. So people can upload it there instead of taking away the trees. But we're always looking at ways that we can become green and working with businesses as well that have sustainable offerings. We work with quite a few companies that it's at the core, and it's very important to us as well as a training provider that we work with businesses that kind of follow that agenda as well. So it's something we're working towards hard as well. But things like electric vehicles, we're looking at EV apprenticeships that can help with that kind of sector. But in terms of finance and accounting apprenticeships. At the moment, it would be the e-portfolio and doing things online, doing things remotely to save on commuting to the college. I mean, we're big advocates on using public transport where possible, park and ride, but that's the kind of things that we're doing as a training provider.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about HSBC for a minute, but the actual qualifications. So I'm on a Trailblazer group, so we actually write the apprenticeship standards, and we've just embedded green and sustainability into the apprenticeship standards, as well as backed up by, yes, all the great stuff that all of us as companies are doing around being carbon neutral as soon as possible, as is 2030, and all these incentives, etc. We're a race. No, it's not a race. We're in it together. But not only encouraging our colleagues and apprentices to be greener, but also to help our customers to be greener as well. So it's very embedded throughout all of the curriculum, apprenticeship or not.
Great. Thank you very much. And I just want to also celebrate our first all-female panel of the day. That's great.
Whoop, whoop.
Took us until panel number 4 to actually achieve that. I'm off camera. Have to make it authentic. And big round of applause to the panelists. They're going to stick around for the next 10 minutes. So if you're interested to talk a bit more about anything that you've heard, then please do come and approach and have a chat. They're very happy to talk. And if, like Myra says, you'd like to stick around for the final panel of the day and hear some stories from the horse's mouth and real opinions from experience, then we have a panel of apprentices to close the day. So thank you. That'll start at 5:30? 6:30? Yeah. Great. Thanks, everybody.